Hey friends out there, today I want to share with you some information about home wireless security systems. Today we're actually talking about the Blink XT2, which is a pretty cool little camera system, and I'll share with you why I got it. I'll also share with you some of the things I learned when looking for a wireless security system and for some of the reasons, and a real account of how Blink helped me protect my home. How cool is that? Getting into it. Okay, so originally, when I was looking for a wireless security system, I thought that all security systems were going to just be kind of, you put it in, you turn it on, and you can see whatever you want to see whenever you want to see it. That was wrong. It didn't work that way. Those are active monitoring systems, and you're going to have that kind of instant feedback when you have something like a closed circuit television that maybe uploads to a web server that can then show you an always on connection. These camera systems, like this little XT2 right here, although cute and cool, they're not always on. But more importantly, what did I get when I went with it? And we'll talk about that in a second. But what I got was passive monitoring. And you're going to get that pretty much with any system that you choose to go with. Now, I know that Netgear, which is the Arlo system, I know that Nest, which is a Google system, also offer what they consider like an active live stream monitoring. But when you do that, you really lose quite a bit of the features of the camera. Like you might drop from 4K down to 720. You might go from a 5 megabit per second data stream down to a 1 or like 750K. There are some trade-offs to make there, and that has to do with image quality. The general rule is that all of them will then require not using battery power, but running on AC power. And that changes the whole scope of things. You're trying to put these outside pretty easily. So when you try to get active monitoring, like full-time active monitoring, like you think of with closed-circuit television cameras, you lose a lot of features. Also, it uses so much battery, the device gets so hot that they change the recording system as well as the power system. A lower resolution recording keeps temperatures down, allows it to last longer and work longer before the sensor gets too hot and artifacts start showing up. Same thing with batteries. Recording for a long time, batteries get super hot. AC power is not as hot, so put it on a plug power and there you go. But that then changes how you can use it. Important part about all this was I thought I was getting active monitoring. I had no idea that what I had in my head for what I wanted was someone walks in the gate and I get a notification, then I can talk to them or go down or do something, no, I get a notification after the fact. And it doesn't take a long time to get that notification, but it's passive. So that was a big thing to consider. It did not change how the system functioned. The system was not portrayed as functioning live, but in my mind, I was thinking live. You think about checking in on your family or checking in on your house when you're away. You think about pushing a button, having the app pop up on your phone, and then you see a live stream. That's not how it works. Even when you get a notification, that's not a live stream, it's just a notification. You then have to go into the app in order to view whatever that notification was. It means pull up that video clip, and that takes some time. Generally, I found that Blink notifies me about 10 to 15 seconds into a motion trigger, right? So if the motion trigger is going on, but it's still recording and it's a 40-second recording, but it notifies me at about 15 seconds in, by the time I get to it on my phone, the notification comes up, I see it, I pick up my phone, I push the notification, the app opens, I then push view. Generally, the record event has ended, and I can then view that record event, that motion event. However, if it's still recording, for example, a longer recording, like maybe it's going for a minute and I get in there too early, I won't be able to view it generally while it's recording. Now, this may have more to do with live view, which is what I try to do mostly, but it definitely won't happen if it's recording. You won't be able to live view. That's something crazy that you have to think about. Hey friends, we're outside of my house right now, and I've come outside to just kind of show you where my actual Blink camera is. You can see it right up there. This is the camera that when turned on, it actually sends us notifications, just like we saw. And later today, when I show you a video in this same one of what Blink helped me capture, you'll actually notice that that's the angle that you can see it capturing from, which is pretty cool. Now, because of that, sitting right there at the door, my entrance to my patio is basically at that angle, straight from this angle in the corner, basically a 45-degree angle. Okay, so I'm kind of giving you a panning so that you can kind of see just exactly where I'm thinking about putting my next camera. My current camera is right there in the corner. I'm considering putting my next camera right up here, as you can see, on this corner. Okay, so now you've seen how the camera works. We're going to go into the camera app in just a second, kind of talk about some of the things I like and don't like. But before we do that, I'm actually going to tell you the story that happened to me and how Blink helped me out quite a bit. Imagine 7 o'clock in the morning, you get a notification that something's happened at your door. Now, I don't ever get anybody visiting my house at 7 o'clock in the morning, so that's strange. When you look at the notification, you actually see that there's someone attempting to open your door that you do not recognize. Imagine how scary that would be. Now think about this for a second. Think about the fact that you got that notification too late, right? You got the notification because you were asleep. And that actually one of your family members was downstairs and maybe they heard it. Maybe your young daughter heard it. She heard the door and she was so scared she didn't know what to do. She didn't say anything. She didn't move. But she heard someone trying to come in. That's what happened. That's actually what happened to me. And so the notification came in around 7:27. My wife heard the notification. She didn't check it, unfortunately, right? And my stepdaughter was downstairs. And while she was downstairs, she heard someone coming onto the porch in the package, like if they were to deliver a package. Now, she wasn't necessarily scared, but she thought it was very strange that they were attempting to open the door. But not thinking a lot about your security posture and things like that, you don't really know what to do in those situations. And we hadn't talked about that kind of situation as a family, so no one did anything. So let's get into it. The app itself is full featured but bare bones at the same time. The user interface is laid out pretty logically, but things that you would expect to happen, or at least I would expect to happen, don't really happen. For example, when you look at the screen and you see both of the cameras, you'll notice that the screen is showing just a static image. And that's great, but that static image is whatever last image you set for your camera, right? That's it. It's not an updated image. Unfortunately, when you open the app, Blink doesn't poll the cameras to create a new static image for you. It doesn't do that at all. In fact, I sent that as a support ticket to Blink to say, hey, this would be a really great feature. It should do that automatically. Number two, when you open up a notification, I think that it would be great if it would take you to live view rather than just what happened. Here's the deal. If there was a notification that came across, I want to see what's going on right now. I want live view communication. Here's a great example. Let's say you got someone coming to deliver a package. You get a notification that the UPS man or someone's actually in your area because the motion sensors went off. But you can't actually live view and connect to them to speak to them, right? Blink's got a two-way communicator on there. You can talk to them. They can talk to you. There's about a 2 to 3 second delay. But once the conversation gets going, it's pretty simple to work because you don't really notice the delay during the conversation. But because the camera is attempting to show you a past notification, you know that it just recorded, it may begin recording again while you're trying to connect to live view. And like we talked about earlier, it won't allow you to jump into that live view. In fact, the recording process takes all precedent. Your attempts to view live view don't matter when it's recording. And I guess that makes sense when you think about it because you want the recording to happen. Here's another thing that you may not know or be aware of. You can set motion and activity zones, and you can get pretty small with your placement. Originally, you get a 4x4 grid, then it goes to, I think, an 8x8 grid, which is pretty cool. And the activity zones work very well. For me, I find that things like sunlight, bright sun, and then clouds passing over, so there's a change in the value of the shadows or the brightness outside, can trigger false motion alarms, which kind of sucks. But what are you going to do? You can also choose to have your sensitivity go up to 9 or down to 1. 9 is like a little tiny cat, and 1 is like a big side of a truck. So anywhere in between there is where you can set it in order to help the actual, the settings work for you, whichever way works best. For me, I generally keep it on 8, and I set my time, my length of clip recording to around 35 seconds to a minute, and I set my re-trigger time to 1 minute. I also set my, here's a pro tip, the illuminator for the night vision, which I haven't been able to show you guys just because I don't have any currently captured, isn't that great. It's kind of blurry, so don't worry about that. The difference is it's turning night into day, of course, in black and white. So although it's kind of fuzzy, it's not very sharp night vision, you can still make out identifiable factors, and you can see what's actually going on, which is really nice. and definitely at nighttime, I believe that it works quite a bit better than what the regular color RGB camera would be. But speaking of that, I've got some RGB B-roll that I can show you from the other night when my son and I were out practicing some Kempo and we forgot that it was recording. It's crazy how you start to live with these things and then they just kind of become a part of your life. For me, Blink, here's a pro tip. Outside of the app, we're kind of moving more into that pro tip section. Blink really wants you to think of this thing as a passive, non-active monitoring system specifically for the time that you're asleep or something like that. They really want you to know that if your camera's activating too much, it's not going to live up to this 2-year battery life on 2 AA's that you want it to live up to. Me, personally, I could care less about the 2-year battery life. I don't mind replacing the batteries every month or whenever in order for them to work. And Blink does recommend the not using rechargeable, but using the lithium polymer batteries. They say that it has better heat resistance for hot weather and cold weather, I suppose, and also a longer lifespan for the battery. But they really want you to know that they want you to keep your recording time to about 10 seconds, as they suggest, your record interval to 30 seconds, and to stop recording if motion ends early. And they also want you to keep your resolution settings around mid-range, because that takes less bandwidth, less power to move those things. I don't want any of that. I want all the max that I can get. But what I have found is that going above 30 seconds for your clip length really doesn't help me very much when trying to determine if there's a motion event that I need to like respond to in some kind of way by go check it out, like bump in the night kind of thing. But all those things being said, I did have a problem with my original unit that I bought that I required a return to sender kind of thing, or an RMA, like a return merchandise authorization. So I contacted Blink because I did not like the fuzziness of the infrared camera, and that it was really, really bad. It was really, really fuzzy. And after doing some diagnostics and things, they communicated back with me and said that they were going to send me a unit, and I was going to get to keep that and then just send them the one that I had. They determined that it was defective, but it was defective for a different reason. Now, I don't care, whatever reason, the infrared was very blurry, and luckily, the one that they sent me, the infrared, was not as blurry. Now, infrared's going to be blurry. If you've ever had night vision goggles on in the military or something, you know it's kind of glowy. It's got this glow, sheen around stuff, and that's okay. So it looked pretty much standard from what I would expect. But the other one definitely had a problem with the infrared camera. The turnaround time for communication was generally within 12 hours. It looks like their tech support was probably on a different time zone schedule than me, probably halfway around the world. So it seemed like it was about every 12 hours I would get an update. It took me 2 days to contact, get a response, send some more information, and then notification that I was going to have one in the mail. After that, it's Amazon, so I had it the next day, and that was simple. So a total of 3 days from determining that there was an issue to actually having a new one in my hand, and I thought that was pretty cool. All in all, I enjoy the system. I like it enough to have purchased a second unit specifically for what I talked about, and I believe that it was a very helpful thing in determining what happened to me here. And I have had break-ins, I guess break-in attempts. I had people throw bricks through my window. It's kind of crazy. The neighborhood has gone down a little bit as the years have gone by. It's something that I didn't expect, but the Blink system is kind of helping me deal with it and feel a little bit more safe and secure, and I enjoy it for that. Guys, I want to thank you for watching, but let me know what you think about all this. This probably turned out to be about 20 minutes. I've recorded it in several different parts, and I hope that this extensive kind of walkthrough review has been helpful for you. I don't think I missed anything, but if I did, I'll try to catch you in the comments. Catch you on the flip side. Bye for now.